There have been some powerful updates to the muscle activation techniques process that we've been implementing over the last 2 months, and that's exactly what we want to tell you about today. We're going to cue our introduction and dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg. We're your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we are updating you on updates that we've received in regards to muscle activation techniques and the MAT process and really the results and the impact that they have been having on our clients because they've been profound. And so we want to share this with you because we feel like it's that important for you to understand just how much this whole system has progressed. We want to let you know that if you want to start taking action on what we're talking about today, it's exactly what we can help you do at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. All right, so right before Thanksgiving, Julie and I went out to MAT headquarters south of Denver, Colorado, and we took part in a course called MATRx2. Now, MATRx, that is what we have been practicing for, over a decade now.
Seriously? Wow.
I mean, you're coming up on a decade. You're coming up on 9 years. I started practicing in 2013.
Okay. Wow.
For RX, just like regular RX. And so this update, we were super curious to figure out what was going on with MATRx2, and I gotta tell you, we did not leave disappointed. It was awesome. It was a tremendous upgrade to how we go about working through people's bodies and people's systems. And the great part about it is immediately from day one, implementing it with our very first client, they noticed. 100% they noticed. Yeah.
Yes. And if you're familiar at all with the regular RX process, like if you come to see us or you have a practitioner that's doing RX, you probably noticed that when you went from like regular MAT to RX, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Like all this stuff is holding longer. And the goal with that is to just keep getting clients' systems higher, having a higher stress level tolerance. That means like, hey, you feel good in the office and then you leave and you still feel good. You're not breaking down as fast and things like that. But then one of the exchanges for that, especially if you've been in RX, there's a time exchange, right? It's a long process, and only people that are coming in for the long term really can benefit from MATRx because of how long the process is. Because we go through each motion of your body, motion by motion, in an order. And so, of course, there's a time exchange with that. But there was also a time limit, meaning we were getting really good results and people were feeling really great, but it was always a struggle to get further and further along in the body because when you're working a system, you're always starting at one and moving forward. And we always felt like, oh my goodness, like we're running out of time and we really want to get to this person's hips or feet or shoulders or whatever the area is. And so what happened when we went to MATRx2 was a big chunk of that time component changed.
Exactly. So if like an analogy I'm thinking of right now is if you think about like the progression through school, all right? And so let's say you show up day one, they're like, okay, you're in kindergarten, all right? And so you go through kindergarten and then you go through first grade and then you go through second grade, you go through third grade. Okay, then the next day you come back and you're starting over at kindergarten. And maybe you can get through kindergarten a little bit faster because you've already been through kindergarten, and then you go into first grade, maybe you can go a little bit faster because you've already been through it, and then second grade and third grade, and then maybe you're able to get into fourth grade. And then the next time you come back and you're starting in kindergarten again, and maybe you can get through it a little bit faster because you've been through it a couple times now, or maybe you forgot some stuff from kindergarten, you need to review it, but then you need to go to first grade and then second grade and third. This new process is like, you're still gonna start at kindergarten, but it's gonna be like, oh, here, do you already know the answers that you need to know? Oh, you do? Okay, great. Let's go to first grade. Okay, great. You know the answers there? Great. Let's go to second grade. Oh, you know the answers there? Great. Let's go to third grade. And it's like, it progresses you so much faster. And because of that, we're able to get into people's bodies, like so much farther into people's bodies, because we're still kind of following a process, like Julie is saying, but we're able to get into areas of people's bodies that we were unable to before. And so what we have seen since implementing this process over the last 2 months is like getting into these new areas is tremendously impactful. For people, whether it's different parts of the hips or different parts of the feet or up into the neck, all these areas that were very rare to get to with traditional MATRx, MATRx1. With RX2, it's like, yeah, almost every single time I can get to those areas and at least check them out and see if they already know the answers there. And then if they don't, all right, let's do a quick tutoring session. And if they do, all right, great, let's keep moving forward.
That's right. So the first big change from regular RX to RX2 now was that time component, and it's really been cool. And we'll talk about some of the results we're seeing too, but it's really been cool seeing how much faster we can move through someone's system without missing steps and without leaving things out or feeling like, oh, we're rushing the process. But the other thing that RX2 brought was a new level of stress tolerance. And so what that means is like, when you come into MAT, you feel a lot of people feel better and stronger and all that stuff. But with RX2, there's an added layer of a stress, of a challenge that we offer to a client. And this added layer of a stress means that now they're able to tolerate that stress. And so people are feeling like, I felt like with RX regular, people would say, oh, I feel strong, but mostly like my symptoms feel so much better. I feel looser, like all the negative stuff is gone. But now I feel like with the bigger stressors, people are actually like, wow, like things are strong. Like not just feeling better because that's still there, but like I feel strong, I feel more powerful. Like when I'm walking, I'm like, wow, like I'm just plowing through the grocery store now. It's really, really cool. So there was just those two components combined made this so powerful. The time piece of being able to effectively work through a lot faster through someone's system. And then second of all, having the second layer of stressors that we use in the session has really boosted people's strength and power outside of the sessions.
Exactly, because the reason why this new layer of stress is so important is because if your body will continue to work and function well until you exceed your stress tolerance. And so until there is, a weight that's too heavy for you or a volume of walking that is too much or whatever it is, okay? And so, with regular RX, we had one level of stress that we could get people to. And like Julie was saying, people were getting really nice results with that. But with this new level of stress, it makes them so much more resilient to all the other things that they're doing in their life because that level of stress exceeds all the other stuff that they are experiencing in their life, which means for them, the work holds longer, the results, what they are experiencing holds longer, that feeling of strength, that feeling of mobility, that feeling of like symptoms not being there holds for so much longer because in the session, we are able to expose them to this higher level of stress and then get their body to tolerate that. And it's a higher level of stress than what they are experiencing throughout their day-to-day life. And so because they're at least able to tolerate that level of stress, all the other stresses that they're able to that they experience in their life like fall way under that, and they're like, oh yeah, this daily activity stuff, this is easy now.
So those are the two big changes that we started implementing like practitioner wise. But the coolest part is that day one of starting to do RX2 with our clients, we jumped in right away, especially for our clients that have been doing RX1, but now we're mostly just doing RX2. Is that the changes that they have seen has been amazing. So first of all, going back to the timepiece is that we're just covering more. Like, I don't know, Charlie, you always are really good at remembering all these little details, but when I'm not looking, yesterday I worked on you and I was able to work on and clear pattern 1 through 10.
10 different motions.
10 different motions. And it's like that would have usually taken so many more sessions.
That in and of itself would have been at least 4 hours.
That would have been 4 separate sessions, 4 hours.
Like best case scenario, that would have been 4 hours of work.
Yes.
And really, because we had a call before that, we got to work for maybe 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, 30 minutes.
So we're talking about 8 times faster.
Yeah, it's way faster. And so, yes, of course, Charlie is an experienced MAT client, but every time we find a weakness in RX, progressing forward from the first motion, we have to address it. And so with RX1, addressing it is a really long process. In RX2, there's an opportunity for it to be a long process if that client needs a deep dive. And if that client is kind of needing like a touch-up, then there's a way to also address that. So our ability to work through someone's system, for example, like what Charlie was just saying, is that in 30 minutes, I was able to clear 10 different motions, and traditional MATRx, that would have taken me, 4 separate hours. So just the fact that we're getting through more motions, covering more ground without it being a shortcut, without it being like, yeah, I'm going to shortchange you just so we can get further along, and maybe miss some stuff. That has been a huge game changer in our practice.
Yeah, it really has been. And again, going back to this idea of the work holding longer from one session to the next too. So it's not even like within the session, we're able to get a lot done. And then they come back the next time, our clients do, and so much of what we have done the previous session is holding well because of these higher level stresses and everything like that, that we're able to get even farther, even faster. And it's really, really, it's just, I don't know, to me it's been so rewarding to just hear people's experience within this system of like, yeah, we were making good progress with them before. It's not like we weren't getting results before. It's not like people weren't getting stronger. They weren't getting more mobile. They weren't getting, having reductions in their symptoms before. But the process was just longer to get to the place where people are at now, where in the how dramatic the change is, that occurs over the course of a session. It just took longer before, and now it's obviously a much shorter process. And again, the work continues to hold session after session after session, which is it's just been awesome. It's just been awesome.
That's right. And then I think the other thing too is that I've been noticing that I have to rework on things less. And I think a lot of that is contributed to the fact that with RX2, we're trying to build up people's systems with at least 2 layers of like stresses. And so it just makes people's systems more tolerant of stress, right? Because you're going to come in for a session, then you're going to go live your life and then come back for another session. And so if that live your life section broke you down enough that we are having to rework on some stuff, which is normal to happen and happens very often, that's fine. But we are reworking on stuff, and that is probably the most important thing that we need to work on. But it is also cool if in a session we can build up your system enough to be less likely to break down during that go live your life period between sessions. And then we're able to progress further, because we do know that the more of your system, the more motions, the more muscles, the more areas that we're able to address, the more your entire system holds, because there's less compensation and almost like funkiness going on everywhere else, right? Like everything is working more together. And so what I have found that too, that the reworking process is much lower with RX2.
Definitely. So, I mean, we've just been thrilled with, the results that our clients are experiencing, the results that we're experiencing, having RX2 done on ourselves. I mean, look, like we were feeling really good before we started RX2, but like this is a new level of good. And it makes you realize that there really are levels to like how well you can feel and how like in control and locked into your body you can feel. And RX2 for us and for our clients really has been a game changer as far as allowing us to level up and experience those things in ways that we were not able to before. So if you're hearing this right now and you want to experience MATRX2 for yourself, that's exactly what we can help you do at our studio Muscle Activation in Schaumburg. All you have to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com. Click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We wanted to share this update with you because, again, it has been so impactful for us, so impactful for our clients, and we're like, more people need to know about this. So we wanted to take this episode and share that with you. If you enjoyed this episode and you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review wherever you listen to us or consume our content, it always means the world to us when you do. We are wishing you a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.